What's up, you fourth-rate duelists? This is Sean over at Sean TCG. I want to come with a quick video to discuss the ban list that has just been announced for the advanced format over here in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG that will take effect on May 18th. As a Malice player, I really just want to focus on how the ban list impacts Malice. If you're a fan of other decks, other archetypes, or you have strong opinions about the ban list that have nothing to do with Malice, you're welcome to stick around, but you might not enjoy this video. So when we look at the forbidden list, what do I see? No Malice names, no Malice sub-engine names, and no Malice non-engine names. The big news for us is what happens when we look at the limited list. We see that Maliss P White Rabbit has been limited to 1. Previously, Maliss P White Rabbit had been limited, semi-limited to 2 copies. So while this is an impact to the deck, we are losing one starter, or one copy of a starter. Overall, I think this is a net positive for Malice. I think the ban list and limited list could have been much worse for our deck. As you can see here, other cards of note that have been set to limited include some Yummy cards, branded cards, Radiant Typhoon, Synchro Overtake. We'll talk a little bit more about Fairy Tale Snow in a little bit. And then we have the semi-limited list, which includes 2 Draco Tail cards. Again, I don't play Draco Tail. I'm interested to see what will happen to the meta with Draco Tail taking such a big hit. I assume we'll just see more of a branded focus, with Draco Tail perhaps being more of a sub-engine. They butchered Draco Tail, that's for sure. So when we talk about Malice, first thing we got to do is pour one out for our friend, the Starlight Rare White Rabbit. If you're like me, you bought at least 2 copies so you could play them in your deck. Well, now one of those copies has to go back in the binder. I would like to know where I can submit my request for my, $6 back. If someone has a good address for Konami where I can get my $6 back, let me know. MVP White Rabbit. I'm glad we still get to play at least 1 copy of the Starlight Rare in our decks, but unfortunately, we will not be playing 2 for at least some time. So when we think about how the limiting of White Rabbit impacts the deck, the first thing we need to talk about is that there is not an obvious replacement for the deck in terms of starters. And what I mean by that is we already are down to 1 Dormouse. We're now down to 1 White Rabbit. Chessy Cat is the worst starter, but we still have 3 copies of that. And then we have 3 March Hare, which is really an extender and not a starter. After that, when we're looking at highly competitive Malice decks, like the deck that Rico Carlos took to a recent YCS, What's Up Gooners, or the deck that won the Louisville Regional this past weekend, we can see that from a starter standpoint, we're kind of where we started. There's not an obvious replacement for Maliss P White Rabbit in terms of, we'll just replace it with an extra copy of Chessy Cat or Dormouse or March Hare. We really are going to have to just simply supplement the loss of that card with one of a few options that I want to talk through. I've seen some folks say that you might just consider running a 3rd copy or any copies of Dominus Spark. So the hand trap route is one way to think about it. Just replace your White Rabbit with a hand trap of your choice, or a copy of Dominus Spark. Some people I've seen online saying maybe we need to run a copy of Signet Mining so that we can grab that single copy of White Rabbit. I'm not a big Signet Mining fan. Hey, shout out Salaman Great. Love Signet Mining in that shell. I don't think Signet Mining is necessary in Malice. I understand the appeal of adding a White Rabbit directly to hand, because basically now you're not going to draw it as often. You're going to have to search it or banish it through like a Dormouse effect, something like that. But I'm not big on going net negative. Maybe in certain hands, the card you send from hand to graveyard has an added benefit. But broadly speaking, I'm less keen on that solution. I'm interested in testing running 2 copies of Baldrake. You'll see that in most competitive Malice decks, we're going to run 1 copy of Magnuma, 1 copy of Druisworm, and 1 copy of Baldrake. I'm wondering if 2 copies of Baldrake it could be an option for us. It gives us an extender, gives us a body, and then can also, on our opponent's turn, potentially be used to banish the White Rabbit from graveyard and get us the MTP07 on our opponent's turn so that we can banish a card. Beyond that, I saw, maybe it was a joke, maybe it wasn't, some people saying we should play a copy of Fairy Tale Snow in our deck. For those of you who don't know what this card does, it has been forbidden. It has now been recently limited, so you can play up to 1 copy. If it's normal or special summon, target a face-up monster your opponent controls. Change it to face-down defense position. If this card is in your graveyard, quick effect, you can banish 7 other cards from your hand, field, or graveyard, special summon. So the idea being, if you can get the snow into your graveyard, you can then banish a copy of White Rabbit from your graveyard, from your field potentially, from your hand potentially, just giving you the ability to set that second trap. Again, really what we could also look to do is keep our deck as consistent as possible. I'm a big believer that at this point, use that extra deck space for a third. I think Rico runs 2 copies of Allure. Well, maybe you just run 3 copies of Allure. Give yourself more opportunities to draw the card. Most decks are already playing the maximum number of field spells, copy of Terraforming. I've seen some commentary that we can use Cyberus Wicked and Cryptor to perhaps get the card back or get the recursion. Long story short, this is a good day for Malice players. The ban list did not hurt us in any significant way as far as I can tell. Yes, would I prefer 2 copies of White Rabbit? Of course. I also think that an underrated way to play the deck is to just run all 3 traps in the main. What I mean by that is if you have GWC, some folks are playing it in the side deck. But if you run it in the main and you hard draw it, like basically hard drawing your traps isn't as bad anymore because you don't have as many opportunities to search them, right? Or set them directly from the deck with Rabbit. And GWC06 also gives you that recursion ability, right? When it says here, you can activate this card the turn it was set by banishing a face-up Malice monster you control. Special summon one of your Malice monsters that is banished or in your graveyard, right? Basically, if your White Rabbit is in your graveyard, well, now you can recur it. If it was previously banished and maybe stuck there, now you can recur it. So broadly speaking, if you're a Malice player, the sky has not fallen. We are in a good spot. Yes, I don't know if we are favored against Cooltoon, Dooms, or Doomsy, however you pronounce it. Some of the other meta contenders, but we've got a fighting chance, right? Until the next ban list, until something else happens. You can see the success that people like Rico, and I think their name is Ian, I might be pronouncing that wrong, or Ian, are having with the deck. This deck is far from dead. Let's not underestimate also that none of the Ignister package was hit. None of the extra deck was hit. None of our best non-engine was hit. We didn't see anything limited in terms of impulse. Shifter wasn't banished. When we look at the side deck cards we typically play, Dimensional Fissure is still at 3. Mistaken Arrest is still at 3. So all in all, if I'm a Malice player, I'm feeling pretty good. So hope you 3rd and 4th grade duelists have a great day. Please keep taking Malice to locals and pissing everybody off. Take it to your regionals. For everyone who's shaking their fist that they want to see every Malice card banned and they want to see the deck die, you'll have to just wait a little bit longer, losers, because we still out here. Have a good day.